Quer desenvolver os talentos da sua equipe e potencializar os resultados da sua empresa? Conte com a expertise do atendimento corporativo do Senac São Paulo, que já capacitou mais de 1 milhão de pessoas e profissionais de instituições públicas, privadas e terceiro setor. Construa uma equipe altamente motivada e capacitada e destaque-se no mercado. Entre em contato, acesse sp.senac.br/corporativo e saiba mais. Quer saber? Senac.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
The space coast of Florida to Motor City, Detroit. This is the Savage Unfiltered Podcast with Michael and Joseph. An Anchor FM broadcast on iHeartRadio.
We got a good show today. We're gonna get into some COVID nonsense here. I see Joseph in the digital green room, so we're gonna bring him in momentarily. Excuse me. I see you, Joseph. 1 second, sir. I'm just getting some notation correctly, and then we'll have you join in. Guys, we got some nonsense coming out of this story here. Some of this crazy nonsense about COVID. I want to get into that, but before I want to bring in a political expert here, my friend of the show and friend off the show, Mr. Joseph M. Leonard here. Welcome to the show, Joseph. How's it going, buddy?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing excellent here. As you can see, Joseph, I'm going to make this audio here. We had explained here off the show with this video lagging, freezing problem that Riverside seems to use. We were going to go on their sister Anchor FM, but Anchor is having some updates, so that's why we flip-flop back and forth sometimes, depending on what they're doing. But as you can see, as I opened up the show, we're talking about the more of this nonsense with COVID, man. A lot of the people are saying, have we regretted not taking the shot? Some people are questioning that, the people that did not take the shot. What's your insights on that, man?
Well, I did get the J&J shot early on, only because me and my sister were taking care of my elderly mother with dementia. Now, obviously, having learned more after the fact, because we were all still learning at that time early on, I wouldn't do it again. Luckily, I'm okay, at least as best I know from it.
Yeah. A lot of people are, saying, they regret not taking the jab for those that passed, from partaking in that. I could tell you personally, Joseph, that I'm not vaccinated. And I refuse to get the jab just with my certain thoughts and, views on how I see it. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, I did not and will not get the boosters. I mean, we know now, and what pisses me off the most is people still calling it a vaccine. It is not a vaccine. A vaccine makes one immune to the disease it's supposed to immunize you against. This is not a vaccine. It is a Wuhan jab, just like a flu shot meant to try to mitigate conditions. And it doesn't even do a good job at that for those of us who bother to do the research. Fauci and Biden, vaccinated, again, hate that word, but took the Wuhan jab and all the 5 bazillion boosters, still got COVID. And again, this is not to say that Wuhan virus can't be serious. I personally know 2 people who died from complications of COVID, didn't die of COVID. They had asthma. So when COVID hit them, they died because of the complications it caused to their asthma.
You're bringing up a point here that I wanted to bring into that. You just touched on something that I was going to bring in towards the middle of it, which I'm going to save, guys, because Joseph literally just brought up a really good point. So tune in, like just about in the middle of the episode. I'm gonna reference some of what Joseph had just said, because that's very interesting. We've seen that for the last couple of years now, Joseph, with these people here, that if you mentioned, a family member passing away, and this and that, mainstream and of course social media, the big tech giants, would put that as, oh, no, that's misinformation. They died from COVID. They didn't die from a stroke or a heart attack or any type of disease. Apparently COVID, folks, literally magically cured all of the main diseases here in the country.
Yeah, exactly. Heart attacks and strokes and all those other diseases weren't killing anybody anymore. I mean, they were literally labeling COVID on death certificates of people who were shot and died due to the wound being shot. And why? Because, like the saying goes, follow the money.
Health officials are encouraging people to get their COVID-19 boosters and flu vaccines as the flu season gets underway. The director of the CDC had a warning for all Americans during a news conference earlier this morning.
We do not know what will happen exactly during the upcoming flu season. We do expect for flu viruses to spread this fall.
They had financial incentive to do so. The Biden and even the Trump administration. Let's not just talk about Biden here. The Trump administration, and this is one problem I have with Trump. He still goes on and on about Operation Warp Speed, which frankly was a failure. It was great intentions, but it was a failure. It did not produce vaccines. It produced poison drugs, and he still refuses to admit that. But that's a side story. But follow the money. The Trump admin and the Biden admin offered handouts. If you listed COVID anywhere, the hospital got money. If you put somebody on a ventilator, you got, whether they needed it or not, rather than give them ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, which I've had COVID twice, and that cured me overnight practically.
Wait, so if you said you
get a bonus for that.
Yeah, you said you had COVID twice. I thought you can only get COVID once, not twice.
No, well, it's like the flu. You can get the flu more than once.
Who's to know about this crap anymore, right? Apparently, people are getting COVID after COVID after COVID, and some of these people are fucking vaccinated. They got like 2 or 3, 5, 6, 7, 18 boosters. God knows what they're up to now, And a lot of this, Joseph, I'm seeing people develop blood clots all over their legs and arms. It's really bad. It looks like the dark plague.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, my sister got one of the mRNAs. So I worry about her, but it's been some time. She seems to be okay. Her and I have both been lucky to not have complications of getting the shots. And again, we took them because we had my elderly mother to take care of. And, it was all speculation at that time. We don't know what we know now. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't take the shot because it didn't do a damn bit of good. We know so much more now. We just do. Look at Anthony Fauci. He's been boosted up the Wazinga, and he's gotten it twice too. Then there's also COVID rebound. The Paxlovid drug is basically garbage too, but they try peddling the new drugs. Why? Because they're all invested in the pharma companies that have the new patents on these things, and they're making lots of money with it, as opposed to hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, which is long off patent and inexpensive and actually effective.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're talking about from Politico, Joseph, with this White House Operation Speed. Speaking of Politico, I kind of just threw it in there real quick. Did you see what Politico just came out with an hour ago?
No, I've been tired.
Oh, God, you got to listen to this. they're now saying, Joseph, that the White House plans to operate Warp Speed 2.0, was dragged down by funding problems. They're trying to bring this back in. Didn't we hear from the Biden administration for the last fucking 2 years that the so-called Operation Warp Speed was a disaster? It was destruction. It wasn't a really great plan rolled out by the Trump administration. Didn't Biden say that?
And that would be one thing that I would agree with Biden on. But Biden, of course, said it for purely political hack reasons. I mean, Operation Warp Speed was a failure. Again, great intentions, and I give Trump credit for the intentions. But like all government, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You judge on outcomes, not intentions. And the outcome is we got bad drugs, untested bad drugs. And we've got to
with a different kind of devastation, not the type caused by Mother Nature, but by corrupt men and women. I'm talking about the economic damage done by those who scammed the American taxpayers during the pandemic. Now, this is a story that unfolds in 3 parts. First, the fraud. Just yesterday, we learned that nearly 400 Department of Homeland Security employees took pandemic unemployment aid even though they were working. But my friends, this is just a teeny tiny fraction of the massive and brazen COVID theft that has occurred since the government started doling out billions in so-called relief. The official who's in charge of overseeing the distribution of the relief has called this the biggest fraud in a generation. It was the theft of as much as $80 billion.
Otherwise, it's like anything with government. Again, we have to hold them to account. We have to make them responsible. We can't be as bad as an Obama zombie, to put it that way. We cannot be like Obama zombies and make Trump like
Obama
a savior
zombies.
of the planet. There's only one savior, and that's Jesus. Trump is just a man. We can't idolize him and put him on a platter. Operation Warp Speed, we have to admit, was a failure.
Oh, sure.
And not just say, it's great, it's still great, and we love the vaccines just because it was Trump. No. Principles, not personalities. I don't go that way. I will criticize anybody and everybody when worthy of it, and praise anybody, including Biden, if he ever does anything right, and if he ever deserves it.
Yeah. Well, Politico is, they're having a picnic right now with this, Joseph. They're basically saying that they're planning on, the Biden administration is planning on bringing back in the Warp Speed, but they're creating the term Warp Speed 2.0. Because they think that the Trump administration had some failed funding with that, and there was problems with that. So, in all honesty, Joseph, I think Biden just wants to take credit for it. He's like, I got to get my name on it. I got to get my name on it.
Exactly. And you mentioned it. What's the bottom underline there? Again, I haven't read it, so I don't know. But from what you're telling me at face value, you keep repeating again, funding issues. Well, that's all it ever is with Democrats. How can we waste more money? How can Democrats launder taxpayer dollars to their cronies, friends, family, and donors?
Yeah, of course. And you know exactly what they're going to be rolling into next, right? Politico's now saying, will there be a COVID winter wave? Didn't we see this nonsense last year and the year before?
Make your dog happy with BarkBox. Make your dog happy with BarkBox. Make your dog happy with BarkBox. 2 toys, 2 treats, and a chew. Shipped with glee right to you. Make your dog happy with BarkBox.
That's right, guys. Head over to BarkBox.com. They got some tremendous deals. BarkBox.com. I love them. Use them for my dog. He loves getting different treats each month. different boxes, different types of treats, all together different, guys. I can't say more than enough. Barkbox.com. Check them out today. Savaged Un.
I'm surprised they hadn't started already so they could try to do a lockdown before the midterms so that in the battleground states, again, they could, illegally send out ballots to all voters like the several battleground states, including my own state of Michigan, illegally violation of our laws and Constitution, sent out ballots to dead people, people who no longer lived here, multiple ballots to the same houses, and people were allowed to cheat because they also at the same time ignored the law about signature verification. So you could scribble Fred Flintstone on John Doe's ballot and they would accept it.
Yeah. Yeah, they would accept it, and this ties into, folks, the next pandemic they plan on rolling out. We're right around the corner from the midterms. The midterms are like a couple weeks from now, 3.5.
We're just under 5 weeks, so I think it's probably too late for them to do it for the midterms, and I think their thinking may be, let's take our lumps now, but pull it again in 2024 when we've got the presidential election again, and they really need it. And their real aim, of course, of power and control is to keep the presidency. And then, of course, if they're cheating for Biden, they'll retake the House and the Senate back down ballot through that cheating again in battleground states.
Well, this is what they want to do now, Joseph. Now they're rolling out something now that I don't know if you're familiar with this. I don't know if they're a panel or they're a network. I think they're a network. I was looking at this about an hour ago from the Arizona Mirror. It sounds like it's a broadcasting network or a news media network, that they're saying that now more Republicans than Democrats likely died of COVID. So if you were a Republican, you died. You had more chances of dying from COVID than if you were a Democrat. That almost sounds like a political statement.
Oh, absolutely. And what is it? It's about peddling the vaccines.
Yeah.
They're claiming we're all conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers, which is not true. I have an article, and you can see it, tinyurl.com, Vaxxer Choice Rally Downriver. I wrote a whole article. I covered a Vaxxer Choice rally in Wyandotte, my home city, about that. And the people there were not anti-vaxxers. They were Vaxxer Choicers, because this, again, is not a vaccine. What happened to the left my body, my choice crowd? Now, they can kill a baby under the name of choice, but you must be forced to get a jab that is not a vaccine and has more side effects than most drugs pulled from the market with less side effects have.
Yeah, what's today's date? Today's the 4th, right? October 4th, 2022.
Yeah.
Guess how many cases there are today, folks? 0.
Well, I find that hard to believe since they love to fudge the numbers. They'll change that somehow. But I want to go
what
back.
About
I want to go
Hold
back
on,
to
Joseph.
what you were saying about blood clots, because I know somebody that does not a blood clot problem, but there was a young football player that died, healthy kid playing sports, died from blood clots. At clear side effect, in our opinion, from the drugs. But I do know someone personally that has myocarditis, the heart palpitation issue. He's never had heart issues in his entire life, got the vaccine because he too was taking care of an elderly person. So he did it to protect him. And, knowing what he knows, also wouldn't take it if he knew then what he knows now. But he's got myocarditis problems now.
Yeah. Hey, Joseph, guess where this poll was coming from? This was coming from the New York Times. Oh, of course, they they love spinning this crap.
Yeah.
It's funny too because this time last year, they had more cases than ever, and now they're labeling it. There's 0 cases right now, and the 7-day average is 0.
Michael Gardner on iHeartRadio Unfiltered.
Wow, that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
I guess the atmosphere changed in the last year and a half, Joseph, where viruses and bacteria don't travel as easy as they did in the last year and a half, 2 years.
Well,
Bullshit.
it's like you said, it's all political. This is all about Biden's push for vaccines is paying off. It's all thanks to Biden. We've turned the corner. Even though when Biden said the other day that the Wuhan virus crisis was over, the White House immediately tried to backpedal because, again, going back to what you said, they want to at some point pull out another pandemic, and they want this to be available as a resurgence of Wuhan because monkeypox is falling flat on its ass. And the ass being an actual good term to use because monkeypox is really another AIDS. It's really only spreading in the gay community.
Isn't it the same disease basically as they had in the 80s?
Not the same, but it is. Again, it is spreading in the gay community, but of course, it's not politically correct for them to say that. But it is sexually transmitted, and it is actually the same, as I understand it, as a measles strain. So if you've had the measles shot, you're already protected. You're already inoculated. So this monkeypox vaccine crap, again, it's because they're in the pocket of big pharma and they're making big bucks off the stocks, peddling big pharma monkeypox vaccine when if you've been immunized against measles, you're already covered, but they leave out that fact. They want you to get another shot you don't need just to line their pockets.
Of course, that's the way it is, Joseph. It seems like everything is about money, and they're going to lie about it, and they're going to say, "Oh, it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with finance or funding. It has to do with the lives of the American people." Yeah, right. Come on. You don't think Big Pharma made a fortune off of this shit in the last 2-3 years? They were making a fortune. Dr. Fauci, it just stated that Dr. Fauci just had an increase in his income in the last 2 years, like a 15% increase.
Yeah, I saw the reports the other day. Exactly. He made like $10 million over the last couple of years above and beyond and separate from his salary, which is exactly why he refused to answer questions when Rand Paul pressed him. And, Rand Paul, frankly, was just grandstanding. They're not doing a damn thing. They're just using the issue to grandstand and raise their own campaign fundraisers. But at least Rand Paul, for show, has been the only one we've seen pushing him a bit, and he refuses to answer the questions about his income. And we all know damn why. We know where it's coming from. The pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, they're gonna push it, Joseph, to try to get that narrative, to try to get that selling point. They're this. I noticed something coming out of Florida here, where they're now saying that COVID is still around. It's still in the air. It's just not being reported about because it's not as severe as it was. Oh, coincidence. Yeah, they can't run on it anymore. But now they're saying that if you live in the state of Florida, the chances of contracting COVID are very, very high. Oh, okay. And they also say that against Texas, and they also say that against Alabama. It seems to be like if you live in a red Republican state, you're going to get COVID more than if you live in a blue democratic state.
Again, that goes back to the conspiracy that Republicans, conservatives are all anti-vax, therefore they're not vaccinated, so they're at higher risk. These people are science deniers. They accuse us of that. They are science deniers. This is true of every disease. Mutations always are less strenuous. They are lesser strains. It was, I forgot what I was going to say.
Get Joseph a cup of coffee.
The Omicron. They tried to peddle Omicron was more viral, more a worse strain. That's not how biology works. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, but I'm not stupid. I can read the journals of the past and understand the real science versus the pseudo political science bullshit they're peddling now. Like with masks, a cloth mask is worthless.
But why are they still wearing this, Joe? I see people even in my state here in Florida, like they're wearing masks, and I'm looking at them, and I really say something. I mean, I'll respect it to an extent, but like if they ask me, how come I'm not wearing my mask? That's when I get into the conversation. I don't want, but I'll get into the conversation. I'll say, they don't work. And they're like, oh, no, they do work. It's proven that. I was like, no, it's not. I said, and I can show you. I did an example like about a year ago, Joseph, on social media. I have that video, and fucking Facebook and Instagram took it down because I was spreading medical misinformation.
Of course.
But, I had a can of aerosol, which is almost the same, just about the same air fragments.
Particulate sizes,
yeah, the air fragments that come out, the particles. And I sprayed a can of aerosol against a mask, and you could see the spray coming right out of the other end of the mask, that blue surgical mask. And I'm like, why do you think they call it blue surgical mask? The name is right there, folks. It's designed for blood droplets. Blood droplets. I'll repeat it again so people can be educated about this instead of being misinformed by the mainstream media and CDC. It's for blood droplets. When you go into an operation room, you will see a surgeon wearing the same identical mask. Okay? They use it to literally protect themselves is if they're operating on somebody and the blood shatters and goes all over their face. They're not going to inject the blood. It's for that. It's not for spit or saliva or a cough or a sneeze. Different type of droplet.
It can stop certain bacteria. Back when I had leukemia in 2010, while I was going through chemotherapy and all that, they had me wearing one out in public. But again, a virus is a whole other question. And I've got an article on this too, tinyurl.com/masks hysteria. Masks hysteria. And I have an image from a medical journal that shows that. Even an N95 mask. Why is it called N95? Because it is only good against 95% of all bacteria and viruses. And
the wording is right in there, Joseph.
It doesn't work against Wuhan.
The wording is right in there, Joseph. I don't understand how people are not seeing it,
Yeah, and all this is well-established science that the left tries to now deny. Just like they deny man and woman, biology, hard science for a bazillion years, if you believe the Earth's been around that long. That's been the science of biology. Man, XX and XY chromosome and anything else is a pure mutation. They are science deniers.
Joseph, they'll be saying, oh, no, the Earth is actually a lot younger than that.
Yeah, whatever, right. Well, if you adhere to the Bible, there are those who insist it's only 6,000 years old. I'm not going to get into that discussion. To me, it's irrelevant.
I guess the dinosaurs weren't really here, right? The fake people put the bones in the ground.
Yeah, well, some people say mankind and dinosaurs actually did coexist, and there are some scientists who are saying that there may be a lot of credibility to that. But again, that's way off the beaten track of what we're discussing today. But the point is, science is indeed never completely fully settled. The point of science is to question things. And, we once thought the world was flat, right? So, I mean, the science can change, but it hasn't changed regarding the virology and the masks. And basic biology didn't change all of a sudden. There are certain things that we can discover are slightly different than what we once thought, but they're outright science deniers. Again, I'm just going to keep saying it. They are the science deniers, and it's psychological projection, just like every time they will call you or me a Nazi because they are fascocrats, and 28 planks of the Nazi platform is in the Democrat Party platform. You could look at them side by side for yourself. Duck, go it. Don't take my word for it. Two easy ones, of course, are gun control and socialized medicine, which has nothing to do with healthcare. It's about power and control. And 26 other Nazi planks are in the Democratic platform. So they call us Nazis. It's projection. I'm not dealing in hyperbolic rhetoric. I have an article on that too. It outlines it. Facts, not feelings.
I seen that one podcaster that you were on with not too long ago kind of just about almost call you out on that, which was kind of disrespectful. But I mean, he's like, well, how do you solve that? You went into another thesis of it, and he was just
savaged, unfiltered.
I don't know, but it's, people get like that. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, Joseph. It is what it is. Hey, I had a question. How did that podcast go the other day? I noticed that you were on another podcast.
Yeah, I was on a podcast with Roger Landry of the Liberty Beacon, and that interview and an article is up on the libertybeacon.com. It just went up today, as a matter of fact. Before the show today, I'm only halfway through reviewing it myself to see how it comes across. I like to often play back.
Joseph, how did you enjoy that show we did Monday? It was a late bloomer. I had to get it out on Tuesday morning. It finally went out. But Joseph, there was a lot of editing in there, as you could see.
Yeah. Well, it was nice of Pink Sunshine to try to come and be indeed a ray of sunshine, but we were dealing in such gloom and doom discussion that that was the wrong podcast for her to try to interject herself.
Yeah, she seemed like she wasn't prepared for it, but it's okay. I mean, it's all right. She's actually going to be coming on this Friday with the Therapy Twins. She told me, and I told her, they are a little rough. Yeah, they're rough around the edges. I warned her about that. They do have Joseph. They're not afraid to express themselves. Let me just say that. But yeah, Joseph, I'm going to depart here, buddy, because I forgot to tell you I have a show myself. I have to basically go on here in the next 20 minutes. So I want to make sure I'm all prepped up for that one.
Yeah, I understand. I think we gave pretty good coverage to this topic. I mean, if people haven't figured it out by now, they are never going to. It's because they're in a delusion. They live in a dream world. They refuse to deal with. And there's a difference between ignorance and stupid. We're all ignorant of certain things until we learn. I was ignorant of a lot of things regarding this stuff till I researched and educated myself. Like I said, tinyurl.com, that's your choice, rally downriver, or also tinyurl.com, mass hysteria.
What the biggest sin in the Bible is, right?
Yeah, pride.
Ignorance. Yeah, that's the only sin.
Ignorance. Yeah, but these people aren't ignorant. They are stupid. They choose to remain stupid. They are blind to reality and facts. Again, they deal in feelings and what they prefer reality.
Stop being a dumbass.
Well, you and I and others deal in facts, like I said about the Nazi thing. I line out factually. You can look it up for yourself, not hyperbolic rhetoric nonsense like the left only has.
Yeah, good stuff. As you can see, we discussed a really heavy topic. They plan on bringing this crap back into the country. I hope they don't, because they really destroyed this nation with COVID, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to close it out here. I have to get ready for another show that I'm supposed to be on here in the next 15, 20 minutes. But guys, I really suggest that you hit that follow and like button, which the show is doing very, very well on iHeartRadio. It's becoming our #1 platform now, getting a lot of good feedback on it. Joseph, they want to hear some more jokes. I get some listeners saying they want to hear the joke. We're gonna have to save a segment in January, because we're going to Restream in January. So we're gonna have to put a segment in there where hopefully maybe Joseph could say it's Monday. It's like a joke or something.
Well, here's another quick one from my book. A guy walks into a bar, says, "Hey, bartender, give me a Coke with a Viagra in it." The bartender looks at him kind of funny. He says, "I need a really stiff drink."
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is Michael Gardner with Joseph M. Leonard, the author of Terrorist Strikes Coming to a City Near You. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you during the week, and as well Friday with the Therapy Twins. Take it easy, guys.
All right. Love you, brother. Take care. God bless.